variant on the Backbend Buzzsaw, because, you know, it is the quintessential beginner performance move, you know, some version of this, right? I have always looked to stylize my stuff a little bit differently than other people. So sort of one of my signature moves, and I have pictures of me all around San Francisco doing it, is this particular move, which is the behind the back buzzsaw backbend with the one leg lifted. So first of all, ignoring the leg that's being lifted, you should first figure out which leg you balance better on, even if you're not lifting the leg, because how your body is positioned, like if I'm on my left leg, what'll happen is my right hip comes forward. And that's where, if you look at me from the back, so I think I prefer to do it on my left leg. But what ends up happening then is when I lift my right leg. When I lift my left leg, there's more space here, which means you position the buzzsaw behind the leg that you're lifting. So the first thing to do is figure out which leg you prefer to lift. And then, since I think I prefer to lift my left leg, I will practice into my weakness, which means I will practice lifting my right leg. And then also, this needs to be stated, point your toe. I mean, you can not point your toe if you want to, but I think the line of a pointed toe just has more finish on it than something like this, unless you're trying to go for something that's a hip hop look. But if you're doing a pose move like this, I think the pointed toe does look better. Now, in order to get started, well, the first thing is, presumably you know how to do a buzzsaw. If you don't, you want to pinch your poi, make it shorter, and you're pinching between your index finger and your thumb so that you can control it. However, you don't want to grip too tightly. You want to grip just enough that you can control it without, and if you looked at me up closer here, you would see the poi is actually, I'm not actually holding it the whole time, but I'm just sort of steering it through. Now, when you're doing this movement, you're going from the buzzsaw in front of you here to the buzzsaw behind you here. The way we're doing that is going on the inside plane. So the inside plane it's the plane between you and you. So between your arms and your arms, or here between your arms and your side plane. So this is sort of the first place that you need to practice in order to do the transition from going here in front of you to here behind you, is practicing these. And I would recommend one hand at a time. If you're right-handed, I would start with the left hand. And then I would say the first thing is just get used to this here. Now, size totally matters here. If your poi is too long, so I'm doing this intentionally too long, you can't get it under your armpit. You just don't have enough control. So you have to leave enough space when you size it that you can bend your elbow sufficiently to have your hand come out from your side, and then you need to be able to clear the lowest hanging part of your arm, however you're holding it. So in my case, that happens to be my flabby part of my tricep. Well, I don't know what it is on your body, but that's what you want to accommodate. And what you're looking to be able to do is just hold this here without really hitting yourself. Now, about hitting yourself, nobody's gonna know. Just keep going and people won't notice. It's less about whether or not you hit yourself and more about the ability to be able to go through that space. So you want to practice going from here, you're doing like a regular buzzsaw here, but you want to open it up and get it wide, and then you're trying to get it through here, and then once you get it through the opening, you're getting it back there. And where you're putting it back there, as I said, is going to depend on which leg you're lifting. Now you could do it without any sort of back bend or leg lift. Just practice going through like this. And then once you feel comfortable with it, then you can start doing this more awkward thing. Now, when you do this, I recommend that you keep your core muscles across your stomach tight to protect your lower back. I am going to do a back bend here, but a shallow one, just to practice getting it into that position back here. Now, my poi are not particularly close together. Like, they're really close on the front. They're basically on the same line, but they're not that close on the back. It doesn't matter, because if you look at this versus this, most people on the planet are not going to be able to tell the difference between those two patterns. And I'll show you what the difference was. This was the first one, they're on the same path. This was the second one, they're side by side, separated by about 12 inches. So if you just keep it slightly on the outside of your hip, that's actually even a little safer, because then you're behind you, but you're not all the way behind you, and you're behind you enough to not hit yourself. So the whole technique then is you're in front, you maintain your split time, you come back behind, you shift your leg, you shift your weight to the leg that you are actually going to be standing on. So I'm noticing my habit is to want to shift to my right leg because that's the one I prefer. So I will shift to my left leg. And then in the process of shifting, so if this is me standing squared off, in the process of shifting, what I do is I pull the hip that's going to be kicking up, my right hip, forward. And in that process, I can create space for my two hands to be here, clearing my body on that side. So I come through, shift my weight into my left leg. Notice my right leg is now ahead of my left leg. My weight is almost exclusively on my left leg. And then I'm coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back, and it's there. Man, that does not feel as good as the other one. So let me show you it from the other side, my preferred direction. So I'm here, I shift my weight to my right foot, so my left leg is free to raise. Then I come down, I come back behind, and I put it behind me, behind the lifted leg here. Try shortening your poi or leaning back further. If you have short arms, this one can be tough to do. You could also try arching, so keep your core tight while you do it, but arch more as your hand is back here. And then what you could do is you could try practicing just on one hand. If you're hitting your back, try lowering it more towards your butt. I would say the sweet spot is trying to aim to have your circle right here where your lower lumbar curve is, with a slight bend in your back so that you're getting your circle in there. Or alternately, the other thing you could do, Candace, is just do the cheater way, where this is behind my back, but it's on the outside of my hip. Again, the audience doesn't know. They don't know what they don't know. They won't know. First of all, try just shortening your poi one additional finger. So if you normally shorten 2 fingers, go around one more time and then try it. Because now that extra inch should make something of a difference. If you're still hitting yourself and that's happening, let me know. If you're not hitting yourself, use that as a practice point so that you can build on that, right? You're here like this, you're here like this, you practice, you practice, you practice, you practice, you practice, and then ultimately you maybe make it longer, but you maybe don't. You don't have to. Or you do it, like, keeping in mind, when I'm actually getting on, I really do think it makes a huge difference when you are balancing on the one leg, because what ends up happening is your weight shifts and you have space back here, right? If you look at me with the leg up, like there's a whole tilt happening here. My body is just moving out of my way, and my buzzsaw is just not straight because I'm coming across myself like this. I think if you're not doing it like this, that makes sense to me. I don't really do it like that well. And it's easier to do it like this, where you're on the side of your, slightly on the side of your hip. But it may just also be you don't have enough skill yet with this motion, so do lots of these drills. This will help you too.